let's look a little bit closer into some of the early numbers with the Rockets, because this was one of the biggest storylines heading into the season. How will Chris Paul and James Harden do? Well, if you're looking at plus minuses with Chris Paul on the bench for the last 447 of the game with lingering soreness in his D, although he was on his feet cheering for his teammates the whole time, but that's a conversation for another day. We're talking about plus minus here with the Rockets. They were minus 13 with both Paul and Harden on the floor. They were 0 with Paul and no Harden. And they were plus 14 with Harden and no Paul. Obviously, I mentioned that Paul missed a lot of the game at the end because of the knee soreness, but what are you reading out of those numbers?
Well, I mean, in terms of Harden and Paul sharing the court and being a minus, I mean, a lot of those minutes came at the top of the game, right, when the Warriors were fully healthy. So, plus minus can be a little bit tricky sometimes, individual game. I think Chris Paul didn't play great. I mean, it's tough to spin, his performance as something great. He did help get Steph in foul trouble. To me, the biggest thing I noticed was just sometimes in those kind of semi-transition opportunities, whereas last year's Rockets would be go, 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 shoot the three right away. There were a couple times where maybe Paul was a slight bit more hesitant, and I think he'll learn to kind of work out of that as the season goes along.
Yeah, I'm going to take this another way. You mentioned Gordon. I think he and Tucker are great players for the Rockets and what they're doing. But Chris Paul, in his career, up until last night, 0-130 in games where he was minus 10 or more. So I think what it shows you is he's finally on a team where they're not relying solely on Chris Paul. And once he figures out his dynamic within the offense, he's always bringing that competitive spirit, and he's always bringing, some feistiness defensively.
Absolutely. I'm certainly not down on the Rockets after last night anyway. I mean, they did win the game after all. I do think Paul and Harden have some stuff to figure out, but the talent is still there, and I think that more likely than not, they'll kind of figure out what to do there.